One of the greatest legends Hollywood has ever known, Marilyn Monroe rose from obscurity to become not just a star, but an icon.
Norma Jean, a.k.a. Marilyn Monroe, invented herself.
Her tragic death at just 36 years of age has only added to the mystique of Tinseltown's blonde bombshell.
The public has never, ever stopped being fascinated with Marilyn Monroe.
Enigmatic and beloved even decades after her death, Marilyn Monroe has never truly left us. Her beauty and her smile remain everywhere, generating millions.
Newspapers were estimating that the value of Marilyn's estate was about $500,000. It's really surprising considering her superstar caliber.
Leading to battles over her estate that have led to shocking discoveries about the secrets she took to her grave.
Miss Nelson goes through her personal effects, removing papers and locking a cabinet for reasons that still aren't clear to this day. More claims came up about what people could do with the personal effects of a woman now dead for decades.
The fame, the fortune, the legacy of Marilyn Monroe.
The photographer makes only a mere pittance from these photos, and Marilyn, she pockets $50. But these photos are so iconic that they make tons of money for many other people, everyone from those who license out the rights or those who bootleg the images and put it on everything from keychains to mugs to anything else you can think of. I guess they really were lucky that Marilyn was desperate to get her car out of impound.
Following a pair of standout performances in The Asphalt Jungle and All About Eve, 20th Century Fox head Daryl Zanuck is convinced to take Monroe back under contract.
The contract she signed showed that she was making about $500 a week for the first year. And every year over the course of the next 7 years, it would go up incrementally, reportedly up to $3,500 a week. The studio also agrees to hire Marilyn Monroe's drama coach, Natasha Lightis, for $500 a week.
When Niagara lands in theaters early in 1953, audiences are captivated. And a new star is born in Marilyn Monroe.
The movie was made for an estimated $1.25 million, and then it ended up making $6 million worldwide in that first year of release. That's a tidy sum. In fact, if you compare it to today's dollars, you're looking at $53 million.
Reportedly, at her weekly rate, Marilyn was earning somewhere between $15,000 and $18,000 for this movie. But on the other hand, her co-star Jane Russell was being paid about $150,000 for the movie.
And Fox realizes that Monroe is their biggest star.
By the end of 1955, Fox signs Marilyn Monroe to another contract. This time, she only has to make 4 movies over the next 7 years. Her production company was making $100,000 per movie plus expenses.
In April, Monroe begins filming the comedy Something's Gotta Give. Though she's not thrilled with the script, she's obligated to fulfill her contract with Fox.
By this time in 1962, she is one of Fox Studios' most bankable stars, earning the studio more than $60 million. Yet they're paying her only $100,000 under her contract, while her co-star Dean Martin is getting $300,000.
It seems Monroe had spent the last years of her life spending outrageously beyond her means.
At the time of her death, newspapers were estimating that the value of Marilyn's estate was about $500,000. It's really surprising considering her superstar caliber. Marilyn Monroe's will left $10,000 to her half-sister Bernice, who she only met a couple of times. And she asked that $100,000 be held in trust for the benefit of her mother. With respect to the rest of the estate, she wanted 25% to go to her psychiatrist on the East Coast, and the remaining 75% to go to her acting coach, Lee Strasberg, and his wife. Lee Strasberg was put in charge of doling out her personal effects, and this was really the most valuable part of Marilyn's estate, because after all, they were Marilyn's. One of the mistakes that I thought Marilyn Monroe made was she gave Lee Strasberg a lot of discretion. She asked that he give out her personal effects to those most devoted to her.
23 years later, after Monroe dies, in 1985, Inez Melson passes away.
When Inez dies, she still is in possession of that filing cabinet of personal property. So when she passes away, it goes on to her family members. Eventually, the property ends up in the hands of Millington Conroy, who is Inez's nephew. The selling of Marilyn Monroe takes off in 1996 when Anna Strasberg signs a deal with CMG Worldwide to manage Marilyn's publicity rights. This leads to an annual income for the estate of over $1.1 million. In fact, court records for the next 5 years show that Anna Strasberg received over $7.5 million from these licensing rights. The world saw a blitz of new Marilyn Monroe products, including refillable lighters, a Marilyn Monroe-themed slot machine, and even a line of pet clothing. But the line had to be canceled when the dogs were upset that the skirts kept blowing up over their heads.
In 1999, Anna commissions Christie's auction house to sell off a number of Monroe's personal items. At the auction, the dress worn by Monroe to sing Happy Birthday to JFK sells for over $1 million. In total, the sale earns the estate more than $13 million.
Finally, in 2001, a New York surrogate's court closed Marilyn Monroe's estate and assigned all future interest to the Marilyn Monroe LLC, which was overseen by Anna Strasberg.
But when her private documents are revealed in 2008, they tell the full story of her finances during her lifetime.
In 1961 and 1962, Marilyn Monroe was spending all over the place. It was financial chaos. It got so bad that in 1962, her attorney actually had to send her a letter saying, if you continue spending this way, we are going to have to borrow additional monies to support your spending. I'm not surprised that the lawyer would send her a letter when you take a look at the receipts of what she was spending money on. Furs, facials, hormone shots, acting lessons, you name it. Even though she was making good money of her own, her ex-husbands were supporting her at the time that they were married, and some say even after they were divorced.
Marilyn Monroe is considered to be one of the top 3 brands of deceased celebrities of all time. And now that the estate no longer has her exclusive publicity rights, we can expect that her earning potential is going to be shared by many, many people in the public eye. And perhaps this was fitting. Marilyn Monroe herself said that she belonged to the public and to the world. She never felt like she really belonged to anybody else, so she wanted everyone to be able to enjoy the image that became Marilyn Monroe.